I don't want to do this. Good morning everyone, welcome to the shop and welcome to a clutch replacement in progress on the PT Cruiser. That's right, the clutch is coming out, well the transmission's coming out, clutch is coming out, and this new clutch over here is going in, as well as a hydraulic slave cylinder, and there's a motor mount in there, a trans mount in there, and we might do a motor mount. All kinds of things. I don't know. It's going to be better than the Scion was by a long shot. We're already part of the way through here. We've got the battery out of the way. It's extremely straightforward so far. The battery's out of the way. The air intake, where is it? That thing's out of the way. We got this bracket out of the way, which is just a couple of 15s here and here, and then a couple of clips onto this fuse box to get it out of the way. There's no cotter pins or anything on the shift cables, which I found weird. They literally just popped off. The bushings are in okay shape though. Then I took the clips off, and the shift cables are pretty much out down there. And now I'm just gonna take the shift cable bracket off, and then I think I'll take a break from doing stuff up here. There's the clutch slave hydraulic line there, which apparently you can get out without using their special tool, but that remains to be seen. This charge pipe's kind of in the way. I don't know if it'll stay on here or not. Actually, I might take it off. This is the one that I put a hose clamp on the bottom that didn't have a hose clamp close hamp previously, so I might take this charge pipe out of the way because I've got to get to the starter bolts, which are down there. Yeah, I also, just kind of to try and figure out maybe what my vibration was, there's a cover that goes right here. It looks like this little guy. You pop that off and you can see the mid mount for the engine. And my mid mount, I can't tell, honestly. I don't know if it's what's making my vibration, or maybe these mounts up here are torqued around wrong, or who knows. I feel like that might be something I want to do while I'm doing this clutch replacement, since the engine will have lots of room to just move that way in the engine bay. Let me get down in here. I don't know. Anyway, we're also gonna have to remove the axles. Got a 32mm socket to add to my collection of hilariously large sockets. Conflicting opinions on how to do that. After reading through the entire service manual for this, I'm still not entirely clear on how to do some aspects of this. The clutch on these is really weird because most clutches attach to the engine side. They bolt to the flywheel, and then the transmission sticks into them. These, it all goes onto the transmission, and then it bolts to a flex plate on the engine like an automatic. It's very strange, and I don't fully understand how to get to the flex plate bolts. Also, quick jacks. I got a set of those. That's like the only reason that this is somewhat tolerable to do, because I don't have to jack the car up and down every 5 seconds when I move from working under the car to above the car. Get the shifter bracket out, probably take that charge pipe off. Then I'll have a bunch of room in the engine bay, and we'll pop the axles out. And at that point, supposedly, this is a 3-hour job total. Or 3 hours out, 3 hours in? I don't remember. We'll see. We're going super scuffed, no external mic. It's just that easy. Ah, I smashed my finger again. Well, there's a bell housing bolt at least. Holy. There should be a bell housing bolt there. It's missing completely. So I was going to show it later, but the transmission's actually not aligned with the engine properly. The back half, there's a big gap, which could explain a lot of things. If they mess this up that bad, then who knows what sort of crap parts they put in this thing. I guess we need to figure out where we're going to get another one of these bolts. Yeehaw! Oh God. Unless you're not. Jeez. I was like, what's gonna break first? The freaking drain plug or my socket? I think these just have ATF in them, so luckily this will be real cheap to refill. Blunk, blunk, blunk. I did this wrong. You're supposed to take the fill out first, because
oh, you didn't open the air at the top?
well, also you don't want to drain a transmission if you don't know you can refill it. But we're taking the trans out, so like if the plug is stuck, then whatever, we'll just burn that bridge when we get to it. The solution was more prying. This side will be a little bit more annoying because it's super long and has an intermediate section, but should still be pretty doable. Same song and dance, more or less. That was loud. Axle time. Oh, dripping right on my face. Hell yeah. Thanks, car. The car now excellent. Look at that. It's not even remotely tight. And the one above it was missing. This whole side of the engine was just straight up not bolted to the trans. I'm noticing a theme with this car. I have no idea if this is going to show anything worthwhile, but hey, screw it. Okay, let's see. This thing is not tight. There's a clamp. It's still up there. It was just not tight.
Awesome.
That explains the weird farting noise this made under boost. Yeah, there's the clamp. Yeah, I think I buy that. Okay, yeah, and then there's this bolt here on whatever this thing is. What is that, a couple 15s and another 17? You're a 15.
I think so.
That is gross. Let's get a, first of all, oh, there it is. First of all, I gotta clean this, because, ew. We've been at it for a while at this point. There's more charge pipes out. You saw we got the axles out. We just got the starter motor unbolted down there. Where's my, oh, there it is. The starter motor is now unbolted. We're pretty much ready to start decoupling the transmission from the engine. And of course, we found another charge pipe that wasn't even hooked up. It went up to the turbo itself, way up there. So, you know, kind of sucked to tighten down, but kind of necessary. Looks like there was a missing bolt here because we certainly didn't take that one off. And now we can see the flex plate. Not a flywheel on this. This is a flex plate that bolts to the clutch. It's very strange. To get to this, we had to take off this weird, so that's the inspection cover there. We had to take this thing off, which is not mentioned anywhere in the service manual. It's got a whole bunch of hidden bolts. Again, this bolt here, that was missing, so good. More missing bolts, love that. And then there was some really annoying bolts way up there to get. Figured out why this, these are power steering lines. This one's leaking because it's not on the barb all the way. And for more fun, 4 bolts are missing from the fan shroud. So it's not even remotely attached to the car. So everywhere you look on this car, it's just completely butchered. So now we have the fun of undoing these flex plate bolts. Yep, I guess the heater's telling us to get to it. Cool. We got all the flex plate bolts out thanks to, I don't know if you can even get these anymore. It's the Pittsburgh low profile set with an 18 on it. It was perfect to get in there. A regular socket is just way too deep. And then of course we did the whole trick with the pry bar to keep it from rotating, and away we go. I mean, the 4 bolts and it's out, and they're all 18 mil, so that's good. We did go and buy another bolt for the upper bell housing because there was one missing, and you know, those are kind of a big deal. We put the 2 upper bell housing bolts back in, so now those are the only 2 bell housing bolts holding this all together. We are ready. That box is just ready to make a run for it. We're ready to undo the motor mount now. This is a couple of 15s here. Once we undo that, we actually unbolt the bracket of the motor mount from the trans casing. We've got a jack under the engine, under the oil pan, which is aluminum and structural, as I mentioned in my first video with this. Piece of wood under it, it's all protected and fine. That'll hold this whole shebang up. And then it's just, I'll go under, you undo the top motor mount bolts, and I catch the trans. It's just that easy. These don't weigh too much, from what I'm told. If I end up in the hospital, I died doing what I loved. Oh, I can't put that on YouTube. According to the service manual, I undo these and then lower the transmission down to the point where I can get to the mount through the wheel well. Oh man, and I've got to... Tomorrow I'll have to go to the store and find some screws to hold this fan in. Luckily there's a couple up here. You know, they were kind enough to leave 2 freaking bolts in it out of the 6 that it's supposed to have, so I can use those to go to the hardware store and get more bolts. The nice thing about cars like this is you know that like everything you do is making it so much more better than if it wasn't a complete like butchered piece of garbage beforehand. Like normally this would just be a clutch, but now it's a clutch and we're fixing loose boost clamps and we're fixing a fan shroud that's rattling around and we're fixing a bell housing that's missing a bunch of bolts and the trans isn't even in straight. This is a big change. This thing's gonna drive like new, maybe. Probably not. I have a new trans mount as well, just cause why not? Why aren't I using, what am I doing with my life? I spent money, I don't have to do this anymore. Just occurred to me how much this is gonna suck to get all this back together. This is the bottom half of the trans mount, top of the trans case. Wow, those weren't tight at all. I pulled the trigger and I was like, oh no, this isn't gonna have enough torque. But it did have enough torque for reasons unknown. There we go. I mean, supposedly this doesn't weigh much more than like 80 pounds. I'm fairly certain I can bench. I mean, I don't see any way that you can really put a jack under this. Yeah. Okay, you want to get the
Roll towards me?
I don't know, man. I can't.
I have to come towards you just a little bit.
Well, I can't move. Bolt. Okay.
And just pop it off you. I'm done. Get out from under it.
Okay, I'm out from underneath it. I hope it didn't crush my phone that was in my pocket. It's fine. Let's walk this out of here now. Okay, so this is called a modular clutch. And I believe we just lift it out at this point. Jesus, it's heavy. That's like 50% of the weight of the freaking trans. So there's our slave cylinder. Thing's shot. It looks like this was all very recently gotten into, but I don't know why, because that throwout bearing feels terrible. And then there's the clutch itself. Pressure plate. It's look at this. It's the same, okay, so that's not the same, but this is the same clutch that we have here. Sachs pressure plate, so probably a Sachs clutch. So looks like some 10s to take this apart. Pressure plate. Pressure plate. Oh no.
Looking a little bare.
She's toast. Ooh. That's down to the rivets. And that is pretty heat checked. I think we're gonna have to have this machined. I'm not sure what's going on here. There's a sleeve in here. Oh, what is that? It's been grinding against this surface. Oh, because it got so worn out that the spline drive protruded into the... No, that's the wrong end. Look at that, though. This is the engine side. Uh-oh. What does my crank look like? Okay, that's just metal shavings. And this isn't the end of the crank, this is just the flex disc. So it'd be replaceable anyway, but this doesn't look damaged, so it must be a harder metal. Well, I think we're done for tonight. I'm gonna have to consult some people about the condition of that flywheel. Cause I really don't know what this is about. I don't know if you can see in there. It looks kind of oval and it just looks real torn up. And I do not want to have to replace this. This is a dual mass flywheel. If you see how it has multiple levels there. So most clutch discs you'll see have springs in them, and that lets the center sort of rotate independently of the outer a little bit. This flywheel accomplishes the same thing, except it's a far more expensive piece to replace when it goes bad. I guess we'll get back at it here shortly. Progress has been made. It's now day 2. Well, evening 2. I got off work late today. Got a new rear main seal on and took the flex plate off. That was pretty simple thanks to Mr. Milwaukee. I think, I don't even remember what brand that is. I think I need to put it in a little bit further though. New trans mount is in. Old trans mount was absolute junk. Go figure. Yeah, it's falling out. Turns out you can't machine dual mass flywheels. Makes sense. And I always thought this flywheel was bad because there was, you know, your typical dual mass flywheel clatter at idle. I keep getting distracted. You can't get these resurfaced, so I just wire wheeled it off. There we go. Thought finished. Moving on to the next thought. If you look at our new clutch, you see the teeth here. So I always had what I thought was my dual mass flywheel going bad, but there's no play in it. Like it's solid as heck. What that noise was that exactly. Look at the teeth. The splines are completely shot on this old clutch, probably from it being slightly misaligned and riding on the splines like that. Wonderful. So, new clutch, flywheel side. So we'll put that there and put the pressure plate on. And then this whole thing all goes in there upside down. Let's see, I think it's these bolts. But then yeah, once that's in here, it's trans go in engine time. You know what I just realized? I need transmission fluid. Oh well. This is how you make an impact. Cool. Good to know we can fill it back up with fluids. That's always important. Man, look at all these parts we don't need anymore. I think the plan is get it under the car, then lift it up enough to slide the trans jack under so we have more precise up and down, and we can actually get it, let's try and get it under the car with minimal floor damage. A little higher on your side, or more towards the inside of the car. Okay.
I think we're on.
Yeah. I guess I didn't really have to be laying down there that whole time, did I? Oh well. Seemed like fun. I'm not entirely sure how to go about doing that. The rotation is a fun question though, because the bottom of the trans isn't like flat.
Yeah.
It is day 3 now. The transmission is finally bolted up, and we even have all of the bell housing bolts present. It was quite a trick to get that in here. essentially lifted up the front half on the trans jack while I manually manipulated the back half. And under here, we had a long bolt, and we put it there in that mid-rear bell housing location, and we just kind of shimmied this up until we were able to get that through, and then use that as our guide and pivot to rotate and work the trans around until we were able to get it close enough for all the rest of the bolts. So now we need to put in the flex plate bolts, and then dust cover, and then all the other accoutrements. And the, probably do the motor mount next, honestly, or the trans mount, so that we can get that out of here. And so that is sitting there, and we'll just bolt that back to the firewall. And oh, right, we got to put the bracket back as well. So we'll get that done, and then just move on to everything else. There's not a whole lot that I'll be able to film, so hopefully we'll be on to something else major next time I record something. Hey, look at this. We are getting close. The motor mount is in and on. All the bell housing bolts are in. The charge pipe coming off the turbo is on. That was fun, but hey, now it actually has a clamp on it. And then down here we have, there's not a lot to see really, but things are back together. We are tantalizingly close. My tants have never been so lysed. What the fuck am I even saying? All that's left at this point is the axles, and then we can fill the trans fluid, and then put the hubs back together. Well, not the hubs, but just these two bolts here. And then the upper intake and shifter cables and assembly. We finally got the clutch hooked up. We might need to bleed that. And then we can drive the car, question mark? I mean, really, it's just a whole bunch of little stuff. The pile of parts has shrunk significantly. There's a bracket here. There's a battery tray there. There's an axle there. There's an axle there. Is there anything over here? No. Also, this is funny. 6-speed. I don't get it. Who did all this? The grill is off because we kept dropping tools down here into the infinite void. I guess when you see us next, either something broke or we're done. Pff, look at that. It's an engine. We got it all filled up with transmission fluid, batteries back in, intakes hooked up. All the hose clamps are actually tight this time, so I think it's time for a first start. Clutch feels normal, at least. And the battery is upset. All right, there we go. Hey, you know what? First win, though. The starter actually engaged and turned the engine over. That's a good sign. Well, yeehaw, boys and girls. Let's get the wheels back on this thing and get it on the ground and see what it's actually like. Probably should have left it running for a little longer to charge up the battery, but oh well, we have a jump pack. Definitely need that mid-mount. Man, it's shaking all kinds. Clutch engage is so much different now. It's making 0 boost. I heard something go kind of pop as soon as we took off. I don't know what that was. Oh my gosh, the nav head unit actually is showing my house exactly. That's so cool. That was my fault. Easy solution though. It was the charge pipe on the throttle body. All the hose clamps are actually tight this time. And that's kind of the cool thing about speed density is I basically had the world's biggest vacuum leak right at the throttle body and the car did not care. I mean, it didn't make any power, but it drove fine because it was still fueling perfectly well. We're totally up to temperature though, so let's see if it'll do anything. I didn't even think to check the clutch fluid level. This thing's probably low. Oh well, I need to siphon all the old fluid out anyway, and I really need to flush the system, so we'll do that in another video. But for now, it's running and driving again, and I have my super cool head unit, which totally does not have our actual location. It's way off. My gosh, this thing does just make the best noises though. I don't think it's the mid-mount. It doesn't shake at idle. Only under acceleration, which is kind of a hallmark of the torque mounts being bad. It's not fast, but it's quick enough to be pretty dang entertaining. And it doesn't make the farting noise anymore. At high boost, it used to just go because I assume it was squeezing out from around the charge pipe going into the turbo. You gotta wonder what other people are thinking as I drive this around and this thing's making all these crazy noises coming out of like this PT Cruiser. This is not a car that I would associate with these noises. Like I said, it's like a big American Fiat 500 Abarth. Second gear from 2000 RPM just boosts instantly. I think I felt one of the motor mounts go, ugh, when I did that. It felt like the engine kind of slid forward a little bit or something. It was odd. But yeah, there's no vibration at idle now. At all. Only when I start to apply torque. So that's good, because I already have those motor mounts. And they were sent to me by a viewer, and I'm very excited to put them on. Less excited because I hear it's kind of a pain, but hey, what isn't with this car so far? Thanks for watching.